All right, the main theme of my talk here today is to really get you motivated to bind how many opportunities there are in drones. You do not have to like video games. You do not have to like flying drones. You don't even have to be interested in flying the drone. But there's so many jobs other than being a pilot of a drone that are very, very important to think about. So I just want to share with you the three kinds of areas you can do. Of course, you could be a drone pilot. Then, for example, say you're into electronics. You can create a better camera or a better sensor. Think about it. The whole world's about miniaturization. Hey, when I was young, we had a VCR, a top loader. You put the movie in and it took this long to rewind and all that. Now you have instant streaming video on Netflix all day long. So miniaturization is important. So if you're an electronics kind of person, if you build a smaller camera with the same quality, you're going to make a lot of money and you're going to be very successful. So they're looking for people who know electronics and the sensors, the things that go onto the drone. Because I'm going to share what's called commercial applications with you, which means at our university, we don't fly drone for hobby. Okay, it's not a hobby, it's a career. We're not a remote control plane club. We're training you to get a career, a long-term, high-paying career. So if you're into the electronic side or the engineering side, it's for you. You never have to fly a drone in your life. But if you work the sensors and you create a sensor and you know how to fix the sensors and design a sensor, you're gonna be in the drone industry. The other thing is the management part. This is what I like to do. I like to run my own business one day, which I do now, which is I can now speak the pilot language to the pilots. So when they're talking their pilot talk, I have credibility because I've flown the drone. But I also went to school and got some math and science education. So when I talk to the engineers and they're talking all those formulas, I know exactly what they're talking about and I have credibility. And also I'm a business manager and I know the business side of it, marketing, profitability, market share, where do I gotta go? So what I wanna share with you is it's great in this drone industry to get well-rounded. Just get some pilot experience, get some engineering and technical experience, and then get some business savvy. And you combine that, you can run your own show at that point. You work at a company, you get your experience, and you're off to the races. Here's the theme of my presentation. We published a book that says 300 commercial applications, and there's more. We just wanted to keep it a round number at 300, okay? The theme of it, drones now are saving time, and when you run a business, time is money. It saves lives, search and rescue. What if your family member was lost somewhere, and now your drone finds them? We've saved plenty of lives with search and rescue applications and law enforcement applications. And then we save you money. We increase your profitability, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Just to give you a quick background on me, I was born and raised single mom, poor family in Queens. My mother never made more than $20,000 her whole life. She had a GED, and I was the first person in my family to graduate college, to get a master's degree, to be an officer in the military and fly jets. And I lived my dreams. I didn't just say I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And when I came back home to Queens after being in the military for 21 years, all my friends didn't do anything. And they go, I wish we would have done what you did. I wish we went off and got an education. I wish we'd had some vision. So the reason why I came back home to New York, I could have retired out in Florida and Las Vegas and be playing golf right now with no taxes, no traffic. But I wanted to come home to New York to give back to my community. I teach at all Title X schools, which are half of the kids are on free meals program. They got dysfunctional families. And I'm like, there is no reason why we don't have more high quality candidates for this kind of industry in New York City. It's prime for it. So I just want you to know I have a little bit of passion behind bringing this kind of technology to you, and I hope you receive the information I'm giving you and consider it. Let's go to the next slide. Big thing here is farming applications. And you go, hey, we're New Yorkers, we're not farmers, okay? Does anybody have any idea how many acres of farmland there are in the United States? Now, I know in New York we don't have a lot of that, okay? Anybody want to take a guess how many acres of farmland there are in the United States? Yeah, it's almost a million acres of farmland. So what I want to share with you is this. You don't have to want to be a farmer. You don't have to want to be a country person and all that. I'm a city person. But the agricultural industry is huge. And why do you care about that? Here's the deal. How many people care about providing, you have a child. My youngest is a 3-year-old. I don't want to give her that baby spinach or that baby food coming from a farm that's throwing pesticides on it. And there's pathogens on it. So if you can bring drone technology to the farmers, you're going to make them more profitable. You're going to lower the price of food for people, and you're going to make their food safer. Does anybody feel that's a nice humanitarian aspect to a drone application? And by the way, at the same time, you make a lot of money. See, I like things like that. I like when you could help the community and make a lot of money too, and have a successful career. So there's so many of these types of applications out there. I just want to ask the technical guy, the advanced slide thing doesn't seem to be going in a predictable way that I, there we go, okay, great. So save lives, same time, save money. We're looking at this. In Vietnam War, we lost 50,000 people. Global war on terrorism, more than 5,000. If you can do a tractor fertilizer for 1 acre of land, you can do it in 60 minutes with a drone, in 6 minutes. So we're talking about saving lives with drones in terms of our defense and military applications. We don't have to sacrifice a lot of our young people going out there and serving our country. I did 3 combat tours, and I'm lucky. I got banged around a lot, but I'm lucky I'm not disabled. Okay, and I appreciate that. With drone technology, you're saving a lot of guys who are just out there trying to serve their country and do their thing. The second one is saving time. Talk about that fertilizer. You can spray that whole farmer's crop instead of in an hour, in 6 minutes, a 1/10 the time. Think about it. That farmer's going to make more profit, and people are going to have cheaper food. And you know how we go. Food and water are a big resource in the future. So again, there's always a humanitarian aspect, in my opinion, to drones when you save time, lives, and money. The other thing here too is a line inspection. Say you're in a union and you got to climb power lines and inspect it. They got to pay you money for that. Union guys make some good money, right? Benefits, pay. They got to climb the pole. How long do you think it takes somebody to go off all those power lines down the highways over to inspect them? But with a drone, you fly it over with a sensor, you can cover miles and miles of power line inspections. So now think about it. What happens there? More profit, more ability for the worker to make more money, and your utility bill goes down because the overhead's less. So there's a lot of opportunity to squeeze out efficiency in an economy that everyone tells you the economy is terrible, it's volatile. Yeah, that's all true. But not when you're in the right business. Not when you got a place where there's room to grow. Okay, here's another one, aircraft inspection. You don't want to fly in an airplane and it to fall apart in the sky, do you? Right? You have your family. So aircraft inspections are very serious. It takes a long time for an engineer or technician to go through an aircraft and check for cracks. Now you do that with a drone in 2 minutes. You have a very thorough, high-def inspection. You don't rely on the inspector getting tired. He had a bad day the night before. He fought with his spouse. He's got money problems, and now he missed that crack on that plane. So now you're saving lives and you're making people more safe. Another application, there's a number of farms we talked about in the United States. We're talking about in millions of acres, almost 1,000 million acres. The first time I was a city boy, and the first time I went into the military, I never forget. I drove from New York to California. I got stationed out there. And I decided to drive because I couldn't afford to ship my car. I was like, oh my God! When I grew up, I thought it was New York, the United States, and then Florida had Disney, and California had Disneyland, but there was no other states. It was just New York, and then Florida and California. When I was a kid, I didn't even know like Wyoming was a state when I was a kid. I go, that's really a state? Now, when I drove across the country, though, we have the most space and the most room and the most farmland that there's so much room for food production and growth. And then I hear people all going hungry. I hear people have to go to McDonald's every day to eat. It doesn't even make any sense. You can eat healthy. So agriculture applications are huge for application. And you want to go, well, I don't care about farming? Let me share some money figures with you. I want to go into an industry that's making a lot of money. Agriculture is a $33 billion industry. So you pick another industry that has numbers like that. Not too many of them, okay? And the world population is growing. We lose 20 to 40% of our crops annually. So now you can work on increasing food for not only the United States, but we can export it to the world. There are a lot of hungry countries out there. So why can't we do something by producing more of our food? We have so much as it is, okay? It says crop losses will be doubled if existing pesticide uses were abandoned, okay? And herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides reduce crop losses. So pretty big deal. 2.3 billion acres. Remember I told you that? Absolutely incredible. Gross cash income, $433 billion. So does anybody want a slight piece of that? A slight piece of that will set you up for life, right? So I just want to share with you that there's so many great applications. Precision agriculture is important. Treatments, I'm going to go through this fairly fast because I want you to see a lot of the other applications. I don't want to spend too much time on one application, but there's science to it. So I encourage you to, if you don't like math or science, try to learn to love a little bit of it. Try to take some math and science because it's going to help you in the drone industry. Because what all comes down to is frequencies. electromagnetic energy, basic physics. You don't have to be a genius, you don't have to like calculus, but the bottom line is try to get into some technical and mathematical classes, because real quickly it'll go over your head when you want to get down into the weeds. So I really want to push you to try to take more math and science. It will help you, it will complement. You don't need it to fly drones, but if you do add it onto your portfolio, you're going to be much more valuable, okay? And you have much more options. Here's some example of some imagery. So you look at all this farmland, you look at, we can go over the whole United States and get specific drone, like you like the picture of the guy flying the drone and filming all of us. Well, now you can put a different type of sensor on it and fly over the United States or a farmland. So now you got the right sensor for the right mission or business. So remember, this is what it's all about. You take a drone and you put a sensor on it. Now that's your business, that's your mission. So the sensor is really, really important. And this shows you how we can overlay different kinds of imagery. And then what you do is this, it's almost like that movie Minority Report. I go to a farmer and I take a picture of his crop with all these different sensors. And then I put it up on his computer screen, and the farmer goes, well, I don't need that thing, slides that one off. I'd like that picture and that image, that tells me what I need, I don't need this. He's got everything he needs instead of just one camera, one picture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to show you some, I'm going to get out of the agriculture right now because there's so much profitability. Livestock monitoring too. Look, these farmers got tons of cows, pigs that provide meat, poultry, all these different types of food for people. Now you can increase his profitability from monitoring his livestock. Think about it. I can put an RFID chip, boom, 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 in all of his animals. He's got them penned in. I have one drone floating over like Fernando just did. And at the same time, it's checking and rolling. Click, 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 click. And then the farmer could wake up, have his cup of coffee, pull up his laptop and go, all my pigs are there. All my cows are there. Oh, one's dead. One's off the ranch. He ran away. And then I could pull up a GPS map and go, he's over here. How awesome is that? So when you increase that farmer's efficiency, you take a piece of his profit and then you reduce the cost and then you pass on that savings to the average consumer who needs to buy eggs and chicken and meat that maybe can't afford it. So like I said, I always try to tie it into that bottom line. You're making a difference when you get into this kind of businesses. You can also do surveillance against animals destroying crops. You got those pests, you got certain things that are destroying crops. Now you can identify them at night. You can have immediate reactions to minimizing the damage from these kind of animals. Crop dusting too. You have pilots who have to fly over in small airplanes, dropping pesticides. They crash all the time. It's not easy to fly an airplane over the ground really low. It's very dangerous. So now you don't have to do that. You have a drone that does it. I want to show you this real quick. This last slide here. Agricultural forecast. Man, if you want to be a business person, you got to be smart and know what's coming. You definitely don't want to get into a business or take a college degree that's not going to pay off down the road. Yes, education is always good, and I encourage it. They can't take it away from you, but you want to try to get your education on a wave. What's coming? Instead of, well, I'm done with college, and I thought this was the big thing, but now it's not. You didn't really look ahead. You know, you're expecting the industry to be there for you. You have to be proactive with your education. You have to look ahead on what's going on, do research. So here's the deal with agriculture and public safety. From 2015 to 2025, incredible amount of growth in this area, huge amount of growth in the United States. All right, some more things. Monument inspection. You want to inspect the Washington Monument. There's cracks on it. You want to shut it down. Now you can fly over with a drone in a minute. You got all the data. So now you can run your inspection business. You can inspect bridges, dams, roads. You can do oil rigs and leaks. You know, how many people know, look, let's appeal to the environmental crowd. I don't want to poison the environment. Even though I'm a free market kind of guy, I don't want to poison the environment. I want to be a responsible businessman. So why wouldn't I take a drone and make sure I don't pump oil into the ocean or pump oil into the Arctic or have some sort of pollution coming out of my factory that's polluting the water tables? Why would I want to do that? To make money. So now what I can do is in cheaper, faster, and better way, I can do oil rig inspections, leak detections. I can help businesses help the environment. And still, so pipeline patrol, think about that. That's a big giant pipeline here, right? We talk about Keystone Pipeline, very political topic, right? But if you now have drones and you have to have infrastructure like this and your drones are covering it, now you can make it safer and you can make the cost cheaper to everybody. Rail track inspections. I mean, New York, didn't we have like 2 trains derail in like the last year or two and killing a lot of people? Well, it's horrible, right? You know how time it takes to inspect a railroad or an Amtrak? So now you can fly the drone, and look at this drone identified this crack, where if you think someone who's tired, who's working a long shift, may miss one of those. So now drones can do infrastructure inspections, not just stuff for the environment. Wind turbine inspections, because for wind and clean energy, so now you can apply that. And you can find out when a power line or a wind turbine is going to fail before it does. Because this is what happens with machines. They tend to overheat. They tend to have electric short circuits and fail. And if you have a sensor that can look at it, like with those Superman eyes that I told you about, you can see it before it blows up or it fails or it cracks. And then you put the maintenance guy out there and fix it. So saving time, saving lives, and saving money is a great way to understand how you can have an excellent career with these type of technologies. Bridge inspections. Remember we talk about infrastructure, right? Our infrastructure is getting real old, especially in New York City. Bridge inspections are fantastic. Saltwater infiltration inspection. You can look at your water tables, make sure the water's clean. They said water is one of the biggest resources that are coming up in the next 20, 30 years that people, you think you just go buy a bottle of water, but a lot of people in the world don't have clean water. So it's a great way you can apply these types of things. And say you want to do humanitarian stuff. Hey, take your drone training experience and go to a foreign country. Go help people who need it. Take that drone technology to them. They've probably never seen anything like that, and you could change their lives and make it better. Roof inspections. Hey, how many people want to pay less on their utility bill in the winter? I would. I could fly a drone over your house and go, that window's leaking, and that window's leaking, and that window's leaking more than that window, because I put a heat sensor on it, an infrared image, and I picked out all the places that you're getting leaks. And I could specifically tailor the job to make your house more energy efficient. You save money, and you save energy. Everybody wins, and you make money. So everybody wins. That's what I like about this kind of technology. It appeals to every aspect of your political affiliations or your sensibilities. Power plant emission compliance. Okay, the EPA wants to protect people. I have a giant factory. I need to make money. I don't want them in my way. Well, tell me what I need to do. I get a drone. I do it faster, cheaper, better, safer. Everybody wins. Clean air emissions, power plants, atmospheric sampling, scientific. I flew a lot of drones for NASA. NASA is not just about astronauts. I've flown many, many drones for NASA. They want to sample the atmosphere, check weather out, do scientific experimentation. So if that's your thing, you want to get into the science world, you can go be a drone pilot for NASA. You can go be an engineer, sensor engineer for NASA. They have nice jobs, great benefits, great career, exciting.
It's near Disney World too, right?
Yes, it is. And also we have some in California too. They're a little bit all over the place there. Flotation aid drops. Here's for search and rescue, lifeguards. You can have people safer in the oceans and beaches. You can do all sorts of cool things. You can have a drone out there saying it can sense when someone's drowning and just drop the flotation device right on them. Instead of a human, hey, I'm talking to my friend and I'm a lifeguard. Whoa, is there a kid drowning over here? So it kind of helps remove the human error, or at least draws the attention to the human operator. Hey, there's a kid drowning. Boom, sends a signal to the lifeguard, and it drops the flotation device before the lifeguard gets there. Dam inspections. Nuclear power plant damage. Here's an example. Japan had a big nuclear accident in the last couple of years, right? Here's the thing. I really admire the Japanese people. When they had a massive nuclear problem, there was no looting. They walked into the stores, the store owners opened the door, and they were like, how many people do we have here? How many bottles of water do we have? And they handle it in an orderly fashion. And then they used drones to fly into the radiation areas and had radiation sensors on them and said, here's the areas of danger. So that way they didn't have to send first responders in. Police, emergency responders, they saved so many lives. They knew exactly where the radiation hazard areas are. And you know what? You saw how that video sent back a picture from over that wall? Well, I could send back that hazard, that radiation numbers back to the command post, all safe, and just crash the drone and leave it because it's contaminated now with radioactivity. I don't have to bring it back home. So drones do things that are called dull, which is boring things, like pipeline inspections. That's boring for a human operator. Imagine if you had to drive a drone for 10 hours straight doing a pipeline inspection. It's dull. It's a boring mission. You have a tendency to get tired and make an error. So dull missions, dirty missions, nuclear, radiological, biological hazards. You fly that drone in, it's disposable. Leave it, but it's wirelessly sending the data back to you, and you can't put radiation energy on electromagnetic energy. So it's uncontaminated. You're getting the information for free. So dull and dirty. And then dangerous missions. I don't want to send a human being into something that's dangerous. I'm going to send the drone in. Like, why would I send a bomb squad guy, if you've seen the movie Hurt Locker, to defuse a bomb when I could send a GV, an unmanned ground vehicle, to defuse a bomb for me. So dull, dirty, and dangerous missions are really great areas that we save time, lives, and money. And things like nuclear disasters, radiological problems, and those kind of things, weapons of mass destruction type of things can be done. So Russia does their nuclear plant inspections. They learned their lesson. Here's another one: graffiti removal. They have drones down certain cities where they just go right along. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so graffiti was big in New York. All right, so they just go along, boom, right away. You take care of it. So they have so many different applications here. LiDAR. Everybody heard radar, but LiDAR uses laser technology in the same principle we use radar. Remember, radar is like this. I can take a radar set and paint that building with electromagnetic energy, and it'll send me back an imagery exactly of every corner, every inch, every window, every crack, because that speed of light energy is painting the building basically and is sending back the returns. So LiDAR now is an advancement. We use laser energy, which is amplified light. It's not Star Wars laser gun yet. And I can now fine tune it and make it exact 3D model of that building just by shooting my drone with a sensor on it. And it's used for things like mapping, imagery, for movies and animations, different things like that. We do aerial site surveys. Hey, you want to work for, how about this? You want to work for the Parks Department. Go work in Yosemite. And you're the drone guy there, and you just, hey, are the trees dying? Is the water receding? Where's the wildlife? Now you can track all these kind of things for parks departments using your drone and the right sensor technology, using aerial site surveys. Landfill demos, there's things like this. Algae proliferation. So you work at a park or a city, you work for a city or a state, good job, and you work for that parks department, and you're going to be in charge of using drones to see how their water's doing and how their trees are doing, how their vegetation's doing. We do all sorts of aerial surveys. Sand and gravel. Here's another one. Say you get your company, you have a business, and you go, I have the drone, I have the right sensor. You know how many mines, not only farms, but mines. In the United States, we have a lot of mines, right? Everything from your granite countertop to gold and things like that are very hot right now. All these kind of materials. Tons of mines in the United States. Imagine if you could walk up to a mine manager and say, I got a business, and I got a drone that could cover your whole mine area. And what I'll do is this: I'll increase your profitability right now, and you give me a piece, which means that this is what they do in mines. They have all these piles of gravel, rock, sand, stone to make different materials. How do you know when you have inventory? You got to keep more on stock than you need, right? You don't want to run out of the gravel. Yeah. So how do you know exactly how much you have and when you should reorder? Because then you got to lay the money out to have this stock sitting on the shelf. It's a business problem. Everybody knows anything about business. When you have stuff sitting on the shelf in inventory, you're not maximizing your profit because you're spending money just keeping things on the shelf. So now I could fly my drone over and think about it. With a sensor, I could paint that pile of rock and tell you exactly how many metric tons of rock you have. You have 2.3 metric tons of rock. Just through the geometry and the composition and the amount. Now I can tell the guy, this is exactly when you need to order, this is exactly how much you need to order, and now I just gave the guy a profitability increase. So I go, you're paying me, but I just saved you money. So I saved you the money you're paying me. That's a great business proposition. When you go into a business and go, I'm not even costing you any money to serve me. I'm saving you this much money, you're only paying me this much. So I just made you some money. So these are all types of things that people don't even think about that drones are being used for. Line of sight analysis, what they do is this: all those cool maps you see when you go hiking, or you can work for a state or a federal agency where you just take a drone out and you map the ground for maps, Google Maps, hiking maps, all different types of things. You can do land surveying. It's a very big business. Aerial photography, now we're getting more of the entertainment and aerial photography industry. I know people who do businesses like this, schools of journalism. They're getting all permissions to fly. You can do this, open a business. This is what I would do. Is a great business idea. I grew up in New York. I know if you get married in New York, especially when I grew up, everybody had to have a big wedding. That was like the thing in New York. You got to go to the big wedding. How much is it per plate, right? What I would do is I'd go to the biggest, fanciest wedding hall that I know in the richest neighborhood, stand outside with a suit, and wait for the DJ to walk in. And I go, here's my card. I run a drone business. Put this into your package. They want the DJ, they want the this. Well, how about you want the drone? I'll fly it around like a cinema high def, filming your wedding from like a movie perspective. How many people wouldn't pay $50, $100 to add that to the package? Now every time you get
$1,000.
That's what I'm saying. And now I didn't say I went to the cheap wedding hall. I went to the rich wedding hall. So now I charge them $1,000. No, you know what I'm saying? Because you're giving them a cool product. So there's all these opportunities for business. You're giving something what they want, and you're getting something for it. And I don't know anybody who wouldn't want a cool picture of their video from like that aerial perspective with the music behind it and all that. So people doing all sorts of things. Here's another one. You go to a real estate agent. Find the most wealthiest neighborhood and the best real estate agent. Walk in and go, I can fly a drone through your mansions and rotate it like Fernando did and go into every room. Go outside and show that cinematic. I live on the water and I have a pool. And you put that on your website. Now you're going to sell that house. You see? So you got real estate. You got weddings. How about this one? Go to another. I always like to start in the wealthy neighborhoods because I can get some money from there, right? Go to a wealthy neighborhood where they all want to watch their kids play football. I stay in the room and go, hey, I'm handing out my card. You want your kid? I'll film an NFL real live footage and I'll track your son's number or your daughter's number, and I'll give you a full-up NFL pro sports type of aerial video of your kid playing sports. How would you like to have that for their future? Who wouldn't pay for that?
Fred, how about student thesis films?
There
Everyone
you
wants
go.
an aerial shot.
We'll do that too. So, there's so many of these like mom and pop business ideas, and then I'm showing you the big ones too. So aerial photography is huge. School of journalism is great. You get good. See, if you get good at those small business ideas I just threw out at you, then you go get hired by NBC or ABC or a big journalism entity. Now you said, I've been running my own drone business. I have Fly 'em. I know the technology. I know what I'm doing. Now then you get hired by the big companies. Now you do it for them. Or you have your own business and you grow it. Or you train, like I said, if you know the business side and you know the engineering side and you know the pilot side, then you know what you do. Once you get the business established, hire a bunch of young people like you, pay them enough to pay for their food and their stuff for college, get them some experience, and now you sit back and you're just managing the business. Well, what's wrong with that, right? You just organize it now. So I'm just trying to show there's so many possibilities. It's just the drone is the tip of the iceberg. It's just a mechanism. Oh, Dronestagram. Look, I'm a little bit older. I don't do MySpace, Facebook, any of that stuff. I don't have any of that. But I know it's popular. So they have Dronestagram. People fly their drones all over. Leaning Tower of Pisa, Florence, Zurich, and they post their pictures like taking a selfie, but this is like the drone selfie. Here's my drone over like this monument. And it's called Dronestagram, and there's all these people who do this.
This is a website?
Yeah, Dronestagram.
So if I go to Arizona, Grand Canyon, I
Yeah,
can
they
pay
take their
someone
drone
to
all
film,
these silly
give me a
places.
drone shot near the...
And they do, yeah.
They'll come and meet me at the Grand Canyon? I love it.
They do all. Who can make the craziest drone shot? And it's funny. So people like it, and it's a social media thing, and you make some contacts with it. How many of you have a LinkedIn account?
I do.
If you don't, as soon as you leave here and you have free time, that's the social media website you should be on. Less Facebook, less Instagram and all that other stuff, and more LinkedIn. Because when you do LinkedIn, you get connected with people. That's how you get jobs. And then use things like Dronestagram tied into your LinkedIn. Trust me, it's a great way to go. All right, next. Real estate photographer, I told you that. So I can not only work for a real estate agent, but I can work for maybe a city or a state and film New York City, film New York City coastline, film the Jersey Shore, and say now you want to use that in your Board of Commerce or your tourism and entities, and now you want this kind of material for bringing people to your state to generate income.
Fred, is that copyright footage once you sell it to the city of New York?
Yeah, it's yours.
You own it? You can get a residual
They hire
payment
people-
if they reuse it?
Yeah, it matters what your contract is. They may say, a lot of people do this. The contract's either this: you work for me and I'm paying you a salary, so everything you do is now mine, or I'll pay you less and we have rights to it for a certain period of time. So it just depends on what the intellectual property agreement is. But it's a great deal. So they have all sorts of entities, from small real estate agents to big state entities wanting you to film their state. Entertainment filming. I told you we have Game of Thrones. We're doing Expendables at our university right now, and it's going fantastic. More and more movies are asking for it. Here's biotelemetry. Here's a great one: athletes. So now you get a deal with the Olympic Committee. Now you have a top-level athlete, and they're running. And now you have a drone that's following them, and it's sensing their heart rate, their VO2 max, their muscle contractions, and then it's downloading the data to the coach and the manager of the team, and now you're fine-tuning that professional athlete to a high level. Huge in the Olympic industry right now, huge in international sports competition. So if sports is your interest, maybe you can work for a sports team. Instead of being the occupational therapist, you're the drone dude, and you're the dude who gets the data from the athlete to the coaches and managers, and then they make real-time changes on the athlete's training. Doesn't that make sense? Right? You can check their nutrition, their body chemistry, their heat, all that stuff. It's called biotelemetry. Sports events, another thing too. A lot of people do this. Say you have a lot of people who want to do action skiing. You ever see that, where they jump out of the helicopter and they're skiing down this crazy mountain? There are a lot of people who do that. Now, how about this? They pay a lot of money to do that. Well, I'll do this. Add some money to your package, and I'll have a drone jump out the helicopter with you and follow you down the mountain and take all video from the front, from the side, and now you have that video to remember that. Not just I took a couple still shots of myself. You have the real, you can show people, this is exactly what I did. This is how I skied. This is how I went down this mountain. How cool is that? Also, another one, you want to go whitewater rafting? Well, I'll put a drone right over your whitewater rafting. I'll follow you down the river. So a lot of people are doing not only just professional sports, but entertainment sports packages where now you can show, because look, how about this way, this is a great thing. Appeal, I told you about appeal to business that's popular, also appeal to people's egos. A lot of people like to take pictures of themselves today. I don't understand that. I've never taken a selfie in my life, but a lot of people like to do it. I ain't cutting on it, but I might as well make some money from it. So if people want to see themselves doing things, I'll be the one to take the picture and they could pay me for it. Does that make sense? All right? So it's great opportunities out there. And then you could do that for a while, you get hired by a big company. ESPN, they're all doing it. NFL. We just had a deal. I just went with one of our business partners. He got the NFL contract for the Buffalo Bills. And I just went to see the Bills play the Giants, and they walked me into the control room. I had the drones with them. They had the multimedia technology, and now we have an NFL contract. Now I got free Bills game seats. It's kind of nice. But, you know, it's cool because I like football. So now I get to go do some football stuff and make some money and do some drone stuff. Olympics, one of the first things to do that. Oh, virtual tours. How about this? Say you want to go to a university and you want to give the university a tour. Hey, Jeff, just cut me off because I'm going to just keep going with the applications. Cut me off when you need to.
We're going to stop in 5 minutes, and then Joko's going to fly.
Great. Just cut me off when you need to, because there's so many applications.
We're going to do one more 5 minutes.
Here's the thing. Say you want a university or educational facility, and you know how it is. To go on a school trip, it costs money. Say you want to take some kids on a trip. Maybe you want to take them to the United Nations, or you want to take them to the White House, or you want to take them to a museum. Well, why don't I fly a drone through there when it's closed, and I could stop at each event, each exhibit, right? Fly through the whole exhibit and stop and pan on each exhibit, and then you could go through the virtual tour on your computer, and you can stop or fast forward, whatever you like. Because when I go to a museum, I don't read every plaque, but there's something I go, oh, I like that, let me check that out, and I start reading it. You can do the same thing with a virtual tour. So now you can educate people and get them the experience, an educational experience of being there without actually being there and having the cost of traveling. And then they can go back and review it, pause it, and go to all these cultural places anytime you want. You could spend 5 minutes in the virtual museum, or you could spend an hour in it. It's on your demand, right? It's like video on demand. So I love the idea of virtual tours. That's fantastic. Meteorology, people are into weather. You want to study weather, huge right now. You know how it is, the weather's unpredictable. There's a lot of storms, Hurricane Sandy. Now you can help out weather people, weather services, FEMA, emergency management, prepare people better, get people evacuated. If you got drones doing that kind of service, you could also save time, lives, and money in that area too. It falls into humanitarian as well. Forestry, huge applications. Urban and city planning and seismology. I can say, hey, I want to grow this city. You work with a governor, you get hired by a governor or a state governor or a mayor. And they go, well, Fred, I want you to take a picture of my city because I want to put a new highway. Can I do the traffic flow? You can now take that aerial data and work with a civil engineer and help a mayor or a governor plan their city. Urban planning. Can we handle this traffic? Do we need parking? All kinds of cool things like that. All people are doing businesses like that. Here's another great thing I want to show you. Archaeology. Say you're an archaeologist, that's your thing, and you're in Timbuktu, wherever you are, and you're digging with your little spoon, and you find something that looks cool. Well, how do you know if you're not going to break it, how you're going to dig it out? Now what I do is I back off once I found something, I send my drone over, which has ground-penetrating laser radar, and I can see the whole object underneath the ground and know exactly where it is, and I can dig it out perfectly. I can preserve, they found a city one time, and they thank God they had that technology because they knew how big of a scale it was, and they said they would have damaged like 30% of it. They preserved culture and history of ancient peoples. So it's great for education, it's great for preservation, things like that. Bank erosions, mudslides, landslide predictions. So, when you all get out of school and you're multimillionaires and you're living in the Hollywood Hills and you got your house right there overlooking everything, you don't want a mudslide to take it out, do you? So you're going to have to hire somebody like me to come to you. So keep me in mind. When you're all rich and out your business card, go to me first, all right? I'll make sure your house doesn't get taken out by a mudslide. All right? Firefighting. How about this? You're a firefighter. Imagine that. You're working hard in New York. You're on the job. You got to go into a burning building. Now I fly the drone in. The drone has a heat sensor. It tells me which way is the path of least heat. So now the firemen only go into the right path, and you can tell with the not only the heat sensor, but then I go into the body heat sensor, and I see there's a 5-year-old kid in the 3rd floor bedroom, and there's one lady over here. So now I know exactly where to go and the path of least resistance. It's a dangerous mission, and with a sensor, I just saved those firemen's lives, and I probably saved those people's lives. Right? You put the assets where you need them instead of guessing. Firefighting is huge. Law enforcement's huge. Fire preservation, wildfires. Now you can fly over. Think about it. If I had a drone over, you see wildfires. It starts out with somebody doing something stupid, and the fire destroys thousands of acres of trees and people's houses. Now what I do is I have a drone network spread, a couple of drones spreading out all over the forest park. As soon as there's a certain heat source, it alerts the fire, and they immediately respond. So now you have 24-hour eyes in the sky, making sure that you don't have a fire getting out of control. China's already doing it. Chile's doing it. Mexico does it. We do it. Hurricanes. We can find out disastrous weather. We can drop sonobuoys in the ocean and find out about tsunamis. We can go over Hurricane Sandy, fly over the whole destroyed area and find out there's how many survivors. This is exactly where they are, do their heat source. So day, night, bad weather. I can see right through it like Superman. Get that infrared image and find out exactly how many survivors, what houses they're in, what we need to do, how deep's the water, and now you can respond your people correctly so you can save people. So there's an exact, we use this, actually, I helped with Hurricane Katrina. I flew drones over Hurricane Katrina and helped save some people. And they use it with Hurricane Sandy using the LiDAR, and you see this image, they're painting it, and they color coded it with some image processing. So how about this, even if you don't like anything I'm saying, but you're a computer geek guy, seriously, if you could do image processing, you see how the colors are all turned? That doesn't come out naturally. A computer person puts that in the code. So your camera sensor takes a picture, you get your smart computer guy to do the code and says, hey, if it's hot, I'll do it red. If it's cold, I'll do it blue. I'll inverse the colors. So even if you're a computer person and you want to get in the drone industry, there's so much work for you in terms of image processing and being the computer part of the drone piece. Basically think about it, it's the flying drone, it's the sensor on board, then you got to take the data down and manipulate it. So if you're in that data manipulation career field, you're in that drone chain too, you can make a lot of money. So that's the LiDAR application. So we do coastal changes of hurricanes, discover earthquake faults. We went to Haiti and helped out. We can do volcanic sensing. People live near volcanoes. Hey, I'm Italian, so I'm near Pompeii. My family came from the Pompeii area. Probably a couple of them got wiped out back in the day. So if your family or countries live near volcanoes, you can save some people. All sorts of things like that. Landslide risk assessment, flash floods, floodplain modeling. With the Coast Guard, you can go get a contract with the Coast Guard. They need all that stuff. Search and rescue is really important. And this is the last thing I'm going to end on. Here's a search and rescue live situation that happened. A guy got lost, and he was overdue. It's very hard to find. Think about if you're a helicopter pilot, and you got to fly over acres and acres of forest. How do you find somebody in there under the trees? Very difficult. So here's what happened. They launched a helicopter and said, look, the temperature's dropping, this guy's not going to live. So they rushed all their typical helicopters out. They came back after the first wave, we can't find the guy. Some dudes go, and this was before even the contract happened, they go, this dude was like, I have a drone with this sensor on it. And the drone had not only the camera, but it had infrared and night vision. This is what it had on it though. This is what's awesome. I want you to listen to this piece because this is what people don't understand. You understand the camera, but you don't understand is it had change detection software on it, which means if I'm filming a building, when someone walks out of the building, it highlights there's a change, there's movement on it. So he had change detection software on it. So what happened was he flew the drone over, it highlighted that box. And if you see in this box, I don't see anything still. I see a couple of dots. It could be a person, it could be a bush. I don't know what it is, right? Then they blew that up. Then they go, the change detection's coming from that box. Something's moving there that's bigger than an animal because you have a filter. You don't want to say you're going to track every coyote or fox or whatever. So they had change detection for a human being. Then they kept blowing it up. Then they found Bigfoot. Nah, I'm only kidding. But that was the imagery when they finally blew it up. Like, that's the dude. And you know what he was doing? He was delirious and on the verge of hypothermia. He was heading completely in the opposite direction of where the search and rescue team thought he was going. So they would never have found the dude. He was delirious and he was going in a complete opposite direction. And the search and rescue said he must be going this way. And they found the guy and saved his life. All right, that's really the end of my presentation. There's actually a bunch more. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get motivated by it. And I hope this school becomes a drone center of excellence, and I'm always available for any questions or any help.